In this video, I'll discuss polarography. Now, what is polarography? Polarography is a voltammetric technique in which the electrode is actually dropping mercury electrode. Then the question comes, what is voltammetry? Voltammetry is an experiment or an analysis where the change in current is seen with the change in potential. That means you vary the potential of the solution and you see how the current is changing. That means the plot that you will get is a current versus potential plot. And in case of polarography, the plot is known as polarograph. Okay. Now, why did we need polarography? Now, polarography is used to qualitative estimation of the kind of ions which are present in the solution. That means to identify the ions which are present in the solution. Like specific metals have specific values of potential with the help of which you can identify the ions which are present in the solution. Then my question is, why do we need the polarography in here? You have conductometry, you have amperometry. Why did we need polarography? How is it beneficial over the conventional techniques? So the conventional techniques, the disadvantage was that the electrode that is being used is mostly in the shape of a cylinder or in cuboid. Now, what happens in a electrolysis reaction is that there is reduction going on, and the ions with the cations present in the solution get reduced to form the solid neutral atoms, and those atoms get deposited on the surface of the electrodes. As a result of which, because the cylindrical shapes have large surface area, large number of ions get deposited on the surface and the surface becomes less and less available to do its job. That means to conduct further reactions. This deposition of layer of solid metal on the surface of the electrode is known as the poisoning of the surface. Now, what do we want? First, we want the surface to be decreased, the surface area to be decreased, and the second, we want to renew the surface. That means we want to make the surface again available to do the further reaction. Now, in conventional methods, this can only be done by either changing the electrode or by doing some further reaction on the surface which removes the layer which has been deposited on it. But in case of polarography, since we are using mercury here, now mercury is liquid in shape. Now, mercury is actually liquid. So, when the mercury is dropped, it has a spherical shape. First of all, spheres have smallest surface area. So, the large surface area problem is resolved. Now, the second is the renewability of the surface. As the liquid mercury drops reaches the bottom of the chamber or the bottom of the cylinder, it breaks down. The drop breaks down and gets distributed on the surface. As a result, the surface is now again available. Now that mercury can again be transferred to the, you can say the round beaker which is present, which was actually dropping the mercury, it can be used again. So that means the renewability is also achieved. And this is why polarography came into effect and came into use over the previously conventional methods. Now we'll get into the apparatus that we have. So in case of a polarography typical apparatus, what do we have? We have a round, you can say a glass beaker which has the liquid mercury, and it has an opening through which the drops of mercury come down. Now these drops of mercury are actually the cathode over which the reduction is taking place, and this drop is also known as the micropolarizable electrode. And why is that? Micro obviously because of the shape, and polarizable because since it is a cathode, it has the ability to create a layer of mercury, a layer of the positive ions around it. As a result, due to its polarizing ability, it can create a layer of positively charged ions around it, and that is why it is known as a micropolarizable electrode. On the surface of this drop, this reduction takes place. A typical electrolysis reaction. Okay. The bottom contains solid mercury, and this bottom is actually the anode of the cell. So you have got the half cell cathode and another half cell anode on one part of the cell. Now there is a layer of mercurous chloride through which the cell is connected to the other half, which contains the mercury liquid. This solution is filled with potassium chloride, aqueous potassium chloride. It does not contain too much significance in our case. Now, the solution which is present here, we expect the solution to contain the ions that is under investigation. But this solution is known as a test solution, which is comprised of two different solutions. First is electroactive species. Now, electroactive species means the species or the ions which is under investigation, which we want to identify, which you are observing. And the second is supporting electrolyte. Now, there is a very great need of supporting electrolyte in this case, and why we'll get in some time. Okay, so this is all about the typical apparatus of the polarography. Now, how does a polarograph or the plot of a polarography looks like? A typical polarograph, as I told you, it is a current versus potential graph. So it will be I versus V. A typical polarograph looks something like this, wherein if you divide it in parts, okay. So as you keep on increasing the potential, you expect a change in the current to be seen. But to still some extent, from the beginning, there is no change in the current. The current remains the same. That means this amount of current was actually present in the solution since the beginning. Even before you applied any potential, this amount is already present. And this is known as the residual current. Now, why is this current present here? So as you see, the drops come out of this funnel. There is a layer of ions created around the mercury drop. Now, as the drop goes down to the bottom of the surface, the ions also flow. Now, when ions are flowing, charges are flowing, and due to the flow of charges, there is some current generated. This is actually the residual current because of this flow of the ions along with the mercury drop. Okay, so after reaching here, you see there is an increase in the potential, and after reaching here, there is an increase in the current, and after reaching here, there is no more increase in the current. So this is the range in which the current is varying. And why is this happening? So as you increase the potential after this point, there is a deposition of the electrolytic species on the mercury drop. So as you go on increasing the potential, there is faster deposition of these ions on the surface of the mercury drop. Also, in other words, you can say that there is faster deposition of mercury ions. That means there is lower residence time. That means the ions staying for a lesser amount of time on the surface of the mercury drop. And after reaching this point, there is no more deposition. Now again, you can think it in two terms. First of all, after reaching this point, there is no more surface of the mercury drop available for the deposition of the electroactive species or the metallic cations. And in other terms, you can also think that since the residence time was decreasing, as you increase the potential, the time for which the ion stays on the mercury surface is decreasing, you will reach a point then where the time cannot be decreased further. The time can go to till time equals to 0, right? Till 0 time, it can stay on the surface. That means it is coming and instantly it is going. You cannot decrease the time any further. So that is this limit. And again, after this limit, even if you increase the potential, there will be no change in the current. This limit is known as the limiting current. And the current, which was because of the deposition of the ions on the surface, is known as the diffusion current. That means you can say that limiting current is equal to the sum of residual current and diffusion current. So this is one of the equations of polarography. Okay. Now the electroactive species are going from the bulk. Bulk means this test solution. So that if you consider the test solution concentration to be C0 to the surface where the concentration is C, we'll see how this true concentrations can be used to see the variation in the current. We'll get it in some time. Okay. Now it is also possible that a mixture of 2 or 3 ions, 2 or 3 electrolytic species are used at the same time to identify them. Now, what will be the ideal situation for this deposition? The ideal graph should look something like this. A very steep line. That means only at one potential, the entire deposition process is taking place. In this case, deposition started here and completed here. But the ideal situation is at only single potential, the deposition should start and deposition should stop also. So you would get this V value, let's say, which is E. And from this E, you get the value of the potential at which this entire event has occurred. And then you tally this value from the data to identify which metal ion is present. But in case you have not a very steep line, but a range of potentials. So what do? You take the half of this, which is known as E half or half wave potential also. Okay. Now you will get this E half and then you will compare it with the data or the literature that you have. But in case you have more than one metal ion, so that in that case, your graph will look something like this. So this is a mixture of 3 ions. From here you will get, let's say, E half 1. From this half you will get E half 2, and from this half you will get E half 3. Now, this is the initial residual current for the first ion. This is the limiting current for the first ion, but this is also the residual current for the second ion. Similarly, this is the limiting current for the second ion, but the residual current for the third ion, and this is the limiting current for the third ion. So you will get E1 half, E2 half and E3 half, and then you check the value from the literature to identify which metal ion is present in the mixture. Okay, now, so that means you get the change in potential, a change in current as a as a function of the concentration gradient. The way the concentration is changing in the solution, with respect to that, you will get the current which is being carried. Or I can write this I equals to K into C naught minus C, or if I take C as 0, I will get K C naught. Why C is 0? If I increase the potential to a very high amount, that means the C is the concentration of ions on the surface. So if I keep on increasing, as I told you, at this point the time is 0. That means for the 0 amount of time, the ion stays on the surface. That means there is no very longer residence of the or longer staying of the ion on the surface. In that case, the concentration of ion on the surface becomes 0. So when potential is reached till maximum, you will get Ki equals to K into C naught. And C naught is the concentration in the solution. That can be, that you know, the concentration that can be, you can say the concentration is known to you. So using that, we can find the I, and then we can get the, from the plot, we get the identity of the ion or the species which is present in the solution. Okay. Now, there are some other current components also involved, which is, first of all, you obviously have the diffusion current, then you have migration current, and you have convection current. Now, what is convection? Convection means the transfer of a property with the movement of the particles. That means the particles directly move to transfer the property. And in case of current, the particles are directly moving to conduct the current or to create the current. And in case of polarography, how is this happening? Now see, when you move the when you stir the solution, because of the stirring, because of the mechanical movement, the ions come into movement. And when the ions move, charges are moving. And when charges move, there is a current created in the solution. So there is a convection current created if the solution or the particles in the solution are in motion. And how do you decrease that? In order to decrease that, you have to keep the system undisturbed for a longer time. So let's suppose you set up the apparatus and then let it remain at rest for half an hour or so that you can be sure that very less amount of motion of the ions are occurring, because of which the convection current will be very low. So this part is sorted out. Now there is migration current. Now migration current is happening when you apply any potential across the system. Ions start flowing towards the respective electrodes. Positive ions will flow to the negative electrodes, and negative ions will flow to the positive electrodes. Now, because of the movement of these ions, there is a current generated, and that current is different from the current that you are looking for. That means you are different from the limiting current or the diffusion current that you are looking for. Now, so you don't want your electroactive species or the ions which are under investigation to involved in this movement of ions because of the potential. Now, in order to tackle that, what you do, you take another ion which will respond to the potential more quickly, and the concentration is very high. That is where the supporting electrolyte comes into play. So the supporting electrolyte has concentration around 100 times that of electroactive species. And why is that? So that the entire amount of the migration current, the entire amount of current which is generated by the movement of ions because of the potential, is being done by the supporting electrolyte and not by the electroactive species. So again, this problem is also sorted out, and you are only remaining with the current which is the diffusion current. So I can say this is the diffusion current. Okay. The active or the working equation for polarography in terms of potential is that E applied, which is the potential that you are applying, is equals to E half minus 0.0591 by N log of I by ID minus I. And you know diffusion current and the current which is flowing through the solution, that means the limiting current in that case. So using this, you can get the different values that you are looking for in the solution, or you can also get the identity of the species which is present in the solution. Okay. Fine. Now let us look at the question which have come previously from this part of polarography. Okay. So the first question we have is from NET December 2019, and there was a man the following question. I have discussed this question in one of my previous videos also, but since there is pulse polarography here, I'll discuss it again. So you are asked to find which quantity is being measured using which technique. Now we know using conductometry we get resistance, and from amperometry we get current. From pH metric titration we measure voltage, and we just now saw from polarography we measure the change in current, which is option number 3, and this was given in option number 1, which was the correct answer. Okay, so the next question we have is from GATE 2017, and what does it say? It says the diffusion limiting current at a dropping mercury electrode for an aqueous Mg2 solution of concentration C. So the concentration is C and the limiting current is given as 300 microampere. Now they are saying if the concentration is increased by 0.1, so the concentration is increased by 0.1 moles per liter, the diffusion current, this is diffusion current ID, the diffusion current increases to 900 microampere, and they are asked you for the value of C. Now we know that diffusion current is equals to K into C naught, in this case C. So if we have two different, I can write K1 C ID1 C1 and I get ID2 upon K C2. K is a constant that gets cancelled. I am left with ID1 by ID2 equals to C1 C2, and this is C2 and this is C1. So I would get 300 by 900 is equals to C1 plus 0.1. So you get 1 by 3. You get C1 plus 0.1 equals to 3C1, or you would get 0.1 equals to 2C1, or C1 equals to 0.05 moles per liter, which was the correct answer to this solution. Okay. So these are the questions, these are two questions which have come in the last 3-4 years of polarography. I am not going to the very old questions because it is unlikely that those type of questions will come. But since not many questions have come for a long time in the past few years of polarography, my guess is that in the coming exams, there is a chance that from questions from this part of the polarography can come. So I would suggest all of you to go through some text or this video and practice as many questions as you can from polarography so that the concepts get very, very clear to you. So that's all for this video. In the next video, I'll come up with some other topic, maybe from inorganic chemistry or from organic spectroscopy.